Hey everyone, this is Don Luguccioni, back with more quick and accessible health and fitness tips. More today from the seated position because we are going to continue on the topic of sitting, why it can be problematic for our health, and more importantly, what we can do about it. So today's topic is going to be breathing. Recent post was on circulation, and breathing goes hand in hand with circulation. Your blood needs to have oxygen to carry out the primary function of circulation, and you get the oxygen through breathing. So, like circulation, breathing is another function that will happen on its own, and you don't necessarily have to put a lot of thought into it. If you have any sort of chronic respiratory issue, you may put more thought into it than most, but breathing will happen on its own, whether you consciously think about it or not. When you sleep, you still breathe. You don't have to remind your body to do it. So we're going to talk about sitting and some areas where sitting for prolonged periods of time may not lead to the most efficient breathing, and then some techniques to maximize and just be more conscious of what sitting can do to your breathing. So thinking about the topic of posture, what if you think about, so usually sitting, typing, even if you're sitting with a nice posture up tall, it's important to think about what the mechanics are of taking a deep breath and how that may be more challenging from the seated position. So if you've heard of the topic of belly breathing before, that's really what an efficient deep breath is. So I have to stand up here. So really what you want to think about is you breathe in through your nose, and out through your mouth. And I put my hands on my stomach because what you want to feel when you're taking that nice deep breath is actually your abdominal area is what's expanding, and not your chest. So if people think about, since your lungs are more, you think about them more being positioned in your chest and your rib cage. Oh, it must be okay that my chest is moving when I'm breathing. What actually is happening when your chest is moving is a more shallow breath. So you're not getting a full breath, and therefore you have to take more breaths to get that oxygen. So if you think about anyone who's ever been anxious or panicked, maybe someone has told this to you, just calm down and take a deep breath. There really is something to that, because thinking about a situation maybe where someone startled you and you just lose your breath, and that reaction I just did there sort of on my own, like you take a really shallow breath and maybe you hold it, and that can link you into your fight or flight response, the sympathetic nervous system. So it's not going to facilitate taking full, efficient, deep breaths. So try that on your own. Try standing up, putting your hands on your stomach, and taking a nice deep breath in through your nose and then out through your mouth. And then sit down and sit with good posture, but try to take that same deep breath. And you'll feel it. I just did. It's really, you can do it. You can get most of that deep breath, but you feel a little bit more restricted because you're in this position. So it's really important, we've talked about this for other challenges related to sitting, to be able to get up and take a break. And for breathing, just consciously focus on it while you're taking your standing break, whether it's to stretch or to take a walk. Think about taking some nice deep breaths to promote that sense of relaxation. Another challenge related to sitting and taking those potentially shallow breaths is you might notice also when you stand up and take that nice deep breath, you might feel some tension release in your shoulders and your chest. Breathing patterns can create some muscular patterns and imbalance that can be problematic. And if you think about how many breaths you take in a day, you're constantly reinforcing that potentially negative tension and muscular imbalance. So taking some intentional time throughout the day to breathe deeply, to focus on it, to relax, can really go a long way for that as well. Another thing that I just recently heard, and it makes total sense, as a really light bulb moment for me. I was listening to the Maximus podcast, and there was a trainer named Dana Santis on the podcast. I'm going to try to link this into my blog to get the information. But she was talking about the importance of having mobility in your rib cage to be able to take a nice deep breath, and why that's so important and can really free up range of motion for athletes if they spend some time focusing on that area. And the thing that really sort of blew my mind, being a former athlete, was the most efficient position that you can be in to take a deep breath is actually having your hands on your knees. So if you think about, try this out too. So put your hands on your knees so you can take some pressure off here, and then take your nice deep breath. So I thought about that, and you think about if you've been an athlete or you've done some hard training, you're sucking wind, so to speak. So if you see someone playing a game and they're in that position, like, oh, that guy's tired, coach will say, be a man, stand up, don't let them know you're tired. But all along, we're doing what's natural and what's actually going to help us take a deeper breath. It really just blew my mind, that whole situation. So I'm going to try to incorporate that a little bit more. Just really flip that stereotype around about training and recovery. So if you're taking deeper breaths while you're exercising in between your sets, depending obviously on the conditions, it's going to help you with your training, help you with recovery, and in this case, just help you break up the negative impacts of sitting. So hope this was helpful. We're going to continue. There's a lot more to go on this topic. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you next time.